Hi, David Sims with Sigal Music Museum here, letting you know that this year we're doing something we've never done before. We're having a summer season. And to kick it off, we're doing something else we've never done before, a Chautauqua-style one-man show, written and performed by our own curator, Dr. Tom Strange, who's going to be portraying Civil War-era piano maker Joseph Newman from Columbia, South Carolina. And now, let's hear from the man himself, from an excerpt from the show.
Now, I've never seen Mr. Lincoln in life, and I suppose for most Southern people these days that would be more in the way of happy providence. But I like the way he drew his thoughts from the Bible, and he spoke plain to the people. At that time, all I wished for was peace, but neither South nor North had any peace to offer, and since the South took the first shots, well, I thought Mr. Lincoln had little to contemplate on after that. I was asked during that election between Douglas and Lincoln, "What do you think of the candidates?" "Well," says I, "the more I think of it, the more pleased I am that only one of them can be elected." It was about this time that I started thinking that I ought to do more than just disapprove of that peculiar institution, which was a saying we used instead of saying slavery. I guess they called it that so they didn't have to say that word. But that's about the time I ran squarely into trouble, of course. That trouble came in the form of a man, then in Baltimore, by the name of Hinton Helper. He was out of North Carolina, and he was writing a book about doing away with slavery. Mr. Helper was convinced that the times were growing near, that something useful would be done to end slavery, or some great conflagration would consume us all. He had hundreds of figures and numbers and speeches and statistics and any and all manner of argument in that book, and it told the story plain that I'd only seen before as through a glass darkly. That slavery was a poison to the soul of man and to the land itself, and to anything that looked like prosperity. And that the South would only heal and prosper if that curse was done away with. He was a dark sort of man, and he blazed out on his subject like a Jove, and people trembled over his words. Well, that whole book just cemented my attention. And I'd come to think that people in the South needed to read these true words. No sooner did that book come out, but it was banned in every Southern state, on pain of death to promote it. The politicians said it would only stir up trouble between the slaves and the masters. Didn't we have enough trouble already, and it was written by Yankees, and that no Southern man could have ever produced such a thing, but that was all rubbish. In the beginning, God made idiots. That was for practice. Then he made politicians. I got it in my head to buy up some of those books and take them into the Southern states as I traveled. Just quietly sort of get them into the hands of people that I knew felt the way I did, fellow Lutherans and the like. My family was not at all happy with that decision. But whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. So I took those books down into the South, and that worked for a little while. Then the trouble came on hard. They tell me that a man who carries a cat by the tail learns something he can learn no other way.